Alright, how's it going, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a while. I haven't had much to say. I've pretty much been living in a haze of nothingness. I don't know what to do with my life. I'm lucky enough to be in a position where I can at least have the luxury of doing that. But soon that time will come to an end and I will be in trouble. And who knows what'll happen then. I hope I can keep this house. Chances are not going to be good. I might have to struggle. We'll see. Anyway, until I'm still living a pathetic life. But this video is for. We've got not much time left here. It's 10:22. We got the election coming up, and I have to say this. This is for you guys, mostly guys who are undecided. You know, a lot of people have said it before. If you're undecided at this point, it's a little crazy, but you know, you have your reasons, whatever. Maybe you're a middle of the road person, and my guess is that most of the undecideds probably favor Trump, which worries me. I feel like most of the undecideds are going to like Trump, and that's because you know if you're not voting on policy, then you're because if you decide to vote on policy, you've probably made your decision between Trump and Kamala. If you're trying to vote on, I don't know. I mean, I shouldn't even say that. I would think that maybe personality would matter more at this point for undecideds, but I could be wrong. Maybe some people are really truly middle of the road and like some of the policies from one side and some of the policies from the other side. I don't know, but the whole point of this is just basically based around this. I think a lot of people are having a hard time electing a woman and a black woman also. You know, and I wanted to address this specifically. Now, I'll say this. You know, I'm voting for Kamala. I'll let you know right off the bat. Not because I love Kamala. You know, I think she'll be decent. I do. I believe she'll be a decent president. But she's not the type of change we need to make things really get to a point of where we might have a shot at sustainability, where we might have a shot of getting the money out of politics, where we might have a shot of you know, transitioning to a clean energy economy, which I know a lot of you middle of the roaders don't care about. Where we might have a shot of having civilization survive the disaster of climate change, which I know you middle of the roaders probably also don't care about. You know, she's not going to make. You know, a lot of people are complaining about the economy. You know, the economy is as good as it's going to be now. You know, I know you people think, well, I'm not seeing it in my life, like my daily life, as like a regular average Joe or somebody who's like me, doesn't have a lot of skills working in the service sector or whatever. I'm not an elitist like most of these people come at this issue. But I can promise you that, you know, for the most part, Kamala doesn't give that much of a crap about us. I mean, she does. She's talking about raising the minimum wage. You can bet Donald Trump isn't going to raise the minimum wage. I can tell you that. This is one of the reasons why I can't understand, you know, if you're a working person, you know, you have to know that Kamala is going to be better for you than Donald Trump. Donald Trump talks a lot about being good for the working man, but he's just, this is his whole thing. This is just, you know, what does he have to back it up? What can you guys point to? And maybe you guys will say, oh, well, he's going to cut taxes across the board. So I'll get some tax cut. And even if rich guys, you should know that rich guys are getting a hell of a lot more tax cuts than we're getting. But somehow, if you get any tax cut at all, you think, oh, yeah, well, that's it. I'm going to get money. I'm going to get money. My tax is going to be cut. That's all I care about. But, you know, that's just furthering wealth inequality. And that's not helping out the little guy in the long run, you know. Close this. It's pretty. I guess not. I'll just hold it. You know, getting a tiny little tax cut while the richest Americans get a humongous tax cut is not helping our situation. It's not getting us out of not being able to earn a living wage. You know. So you know, I can tell you that, the thing about it is, like I said, a lot of you are having a hard time voting for a woman and a black woman. I think part of the issue is that I think a lot of guys are feeling like we can't let a woman rule over us. Women, feminists, they already have everything's going for them. Women are doing better than men. We're feeling like they don't give a shit about us. We're left out. White, especially white men, they don't care. We're like the modern day pariahs for everything. Um, and so I think a lot of you, especially you young men that are maybe undecided or Trump leaning, you know, don't want to give women the satisfaction of having a woman president and saying, "There you go, look at that. Now we've got everything. We've got the president of the United States. We're so fucking cool now." It's just they're gonna shove it in our faces. They're gonna love it. You know, and it's not the first time we'll have had a female leader if Kamala gets elected. You know, in fact, if you want to talk about, there's so many of these women like to say, "Oh, well, the real problem is that there's not enough women in leadership." If more women were in leadership positions, things would be great. Yeah, except for the fact that you have the women that have been in leadership positions in the past have been women like, Margaret Thatcher. I mean, I'm not trying to say all women. There's, the reality of the matter is that there's some bad women in charge and there's some not so bad women in charge. Just like it's gonna be just like guys. It's gonna be good women leaders. It's gonna be bad women leaders. It'll probably be similar percentages, I would assume. I don't know. When I think about it, really, there haven't been that many women leaders. The queens were leaders in their time. Before they became figureheads, anyway. And people were really happy with that arrangement in England. The Queen Victoria was much beloved. You got the Isabellas. There's been a lot of queens over the years. Some of them good, some of them bad, just like any other politician. It's not like we haven't had female leaders before. So while the women in this country are going to just love it and hold it over our heads and be really annoying about it if we elect a woman, the reality of the matter is that there have been plenty of women that preceded this woman. It's a bigger deal that she'd be a black woman. I'll say that. But we're going to hear more crap about her being a woman than about her being black because women are I don't know what it is. I think they just like there's this deep seated hate for men at this point, and I don't exactly know what they want from men. They want us all to be high achievers now or something like that. Is that what they? It's like a lot of us aren't high achievers. There's a lot of non-high achieving men. There's a lot of non-high achieving women. There's so few high achieving men that they break a lot of women's hearts. I think they get bitter about it. Maybe that's why I think the men who are high achievers, the men who have broken hearts, they piss women off, and so they want to take it out against all men, and so they like to rub stuff like this in our faces. That's my only guess as to why. There's also the whole patriarchy thing. Yes, women have been in a subservient position for a very long time. They weren't allowed to do. They weren't allowed the same rights as men. But on that point, one thing that really annoys me about the woke generation. See, in my day, it was about poor versus rich. That was the major. Poor versus rich, environment versus keeping preserving the environment versus exploiting it for resources. That was the classical divide of the haves and the have-nots in the old days. And it's been morphed. That's why I don't like a lot of this. The identity politics stuff has morphed it away from that. And what it's done is it's allowed women to appreciate all the trappings of capitalism. They're allowed to like luxury. They're allowed to follow people like the Kardashians, and that's old news now, but stuff like that. They're allowed to influencers on social media. They're allowed to drool over these types of things. They're allowed to lust for materialism, their basest desires. We just look at shows like Sex and the City before, whatever the new version of Sex and the City is, I forget what it's called, and Emily in Paris, and you see this kind of built-in lust for extravagance, luxury, wealth, fashion, And that's what's great for women about identity politics is it kind of, it makes it okay for them to still be greedy capitalists while, they can still feel self-righteous about the fact that now they have something that makes them the underdog. Now they have something that makes them, solidarity and fight, and all this kind of thing. And men are evil because it takes their mind off the fact that, it allows them to exercise their revolutionary spirit without actually changing anything. So you have a lot of elitist women who think their shit doesn't stink because they stand up for LGBTQ rights while they're, working for a bank or while they're, I don't know, working in marketing or while they're, doing vapid social influencing and crap like that. They get to feel like they're still part of the underdog. They get to, and that's one of the things, especially, when I have a real hard time when really pretty girls, take up the cause, because these pretty girls, they have everything going for them. The advantage that you have as a pretty girl. Everybody wants you to be around as a pretty girl. You can go to any party and you'll get in. Almost any party. It's hard unless you're just totally like, unless you're totally trashy. Every guy wants to hang out with you. You're more likely to get promotions. You're more likely to be treated better in general. People are more likely to want to do things for you. You're more likely to have success in a lot of different fields. People like having a pretty face around. You're also more likely to get raped, which definitely sucks for you. For those people that get raped, that's unfortunate, obviously. But while that exists, and while women will ballyhoo that part of it, that they're more likely to get raped when they're pretty. I mean, they'll talk that up a lot, but they don't talk about the advantages. And the advantages are huge, Guys like us will never know the advantages of always being wanted in that way, We'll never get a leg up in our careers because we just look good. At least I won't anyway. I certainly didn't already. I'm not welcome in every party. They don't let me in real easy. I don't have 10 girls trying to date me. It's so these pretty girls. I think they've been spoiled their whole lives, and nobody likes to admit that they're spoiled. I mean, I've been spoiled to some extent, obviously. Nobody wants to admit that that a lot of things have been given to them. So I think that's what happens with a lot of pretty girls is they really latch on to the identity politics because, they don't want to feel like, they've just been given everything in life by being pretty. So they want to feel like, oh, I'm, now I have a reason to feel like the underdog. Like I'm, oh yeah, so get together, girls, whatever. And it's just like, if anything, capitalist culture probably benefits pretty girls more than anything because they are objectified. That objectification gives them a certain value in our society, and they say, "Oh, don't objectify women," but then they objectify themselves. They put a lot of time into makeup and fashion and hair and the whole deal. That's why I kind of like Billie Eilish. She's like, I don't give a crap. I'm just gonna wear some skater clothes or whatever. I'm for you girls that don't give a shit. Don't wear makeup. Don't dress up. Those are the true feminists out there. Don't turn yourself into an object of desire if you don't want to be objectified. But most girls are not about that. They want to go out there looking damn good, so they have any pic they have of anybody, and they want to feel like the underdog, so they latch onto these to these identity politics. Now that's not the only ones, obviously. In fact, if anything, girls that are less attractive are probably even more likely to latch onto identity politics because it gives them a point of pride to work from. Whereas before they felt powerless because men didn't like them as much. So the loudest voices tend to be those who maybe aren't as pretty. I would say a lot of the time. But that's not necessarily true. It depends on the person, too. These are just, like, general observations that I'm sure most women hate. But you have to see, I'm trying to relate to you guys here, because this really video is more for the guys. I'm not convincing any wishy-washy women in this video. No woman's gonna vote for Trump because of this. All right. This is for you guys. I'm just trying to say that I understand. I understand your frustration. We've been rejected. Women don't want us. We're not willing to work. We're lazy sons of bitches. It is what it is. I mean, it's not just that. I wanted to be a musician. A lot of us wanted things for ourselves that were not practical in society today. It's hard to make money as a musician. It's hard to make money as an actor. It's hard to make money as a pro athlete. It's hard to make money as, a lot of different things. There's a lot of glamorous jobs that it's hard to make money doing. And I don't know about all the rest of you guys, but I worked my ass off to be as good of a musician as I could be. Now, I didn't work as hard as some, and probably didn't work as hard as I needed to. But, women don't care about the effort I put in. They don't give a crap. I'm not particularly good. I'm not particularly talented at music. It's just how it was. No woman's going to see all the effort I put in to get myself my crappy lack of musicianship ability. I didn't have a lot of talent, but I pushed myself pretty far for me. I'm proud of myself for where I've gotten to. It's not as far as I wanted to get to, and I could have gotten farther if I tried a little bit harder, but I got somewhere. But I get zero credit for that. None, because I am not a viable moneymaker in today's society. I think a lot of you guys are feeling like that. You might have strived for your passions. You might have, you might be like I am, also, generally anti, civilization to some extent, or at least anti, mindless civilization. What are we being demonized for? That we're not, putting more, I've said this in other videos, that we're not putting more work into extracting more resources and ripping more people off and, paying people less than what they're worth and, being a savvy businessman, and getting mine before someone else gets theirs. That's part of what we're being penalized for as men. And I think we're bitter about that. I'm bitter about it. I'm a good guy. Am I reliable as a provider? Absolutely not. There's no question about it. At least not right now. I don't ever expect to be. It could happen someday. You never know. Maybe I'll get my shit together out of necessity. But that doesn't make me a bad person. People, the baby gets thrown out with the bathwater with guys like us. We're generally good people. We're not greedy. We just want a wife we think is attractive. We want someone to love us for who we are. And the answer we get these days is, well, you're not good enough. You're just not good enough. You don't deserve love unless you earn it. That's what people are saying these days. It's like, so you earn it by doing what? Going out, making more money, destroying the planet. Taking part in the resource to waste cycle. That's what makes you, the more you take part in the resource to waste cycle, the more desirable you are. That's who deserves love. People who turn resources into waste. Those guys, they deserve it. That's what people are saying. And that's one way of looking at it. Sure, another way of looking at it is these are people that are, following some passion or something like that. I question the value of someone who has a passion for making money and for doing business, when the end result of that business is destruction. But, regardless, guys like us, at least some of us, we might have had our own thing. Maybe things didn't work out for us for one reason or another. Maybe we were just unlucky. Maybe we didn't get the breaks. We weren't in the right place at the right time. It's not all about hard work. There's a lot of luck involved. People won't tell you that, but it's true. Some of us have struggled. Some of us guys have struggled, and women say we're worthless to them. We don't have any value because we don't earn any money. I have passions. It's not like I have no passions. I love playing disc golf. I love, snowboarding, to some extent anyway. At least a little bit more when I was younger. It was easier. I love playing cards. It's not a passion that anyone appreciates, but I think it's fun. I love trivia night. I love playing piano even. I love making music. I love playing the guitar. I love bass guitar. I love playing drums. I like hanging out with people by the fire. I have a passion for, you know, I have a passion for being in social situations. Like I have a passion for going out to eat. Those are passions. Somehow my passion doesn't matter because it doesn't earn any money. You know, I have a passion for ear training. Put a ton of time into that. So all I'm saying is that we men get dismissed by women for you know they put it under all these subtexts. Oh, or not subtext. They put it under all these what's the word? They come up with ways to justify their thinking. Oh, you don't believe in yourself. You don't believe in life. Maybe we do. Maybe we do believe in ourselves, but just our beliefs are not your beliefs. So the whole point of this is that we feel dismissed by women. Guys like me, and maybe guys like you, and that might cause some people, out of a grudge for the women that they're annoyed with, to vote for Trump. But I'm telling you right now, you know, Trump is not going to make your life as an everyday Joe better. This is the big lie, that he cares about the everyday working man. You're a blue collar guy, you're a whatever, you're a manly guy. And because Trump is more manly than Kamala, and Kamala comes from the woke, you're bad because you're a white man world. You know, Kamala's, uh, you know, anti. I don't know. She's not anti-white man, but she's from that group that basically denigrates us. That makes us say like, oh well, you're not important. What's important now is that black people and women, are getting ahead, and brown people, black, brown, and women people. Women, black people, and brown people. Them getting ahead is the number one priority. At least to a lot of the woke left. And I'm coming from the old school liberal that it's still about it's still about um, rich versus poor. It's still about trying to be a steward to our environment versus destroying it for resources. And on that front, Trump is not helping. Trump is going to, whereas Kamala's not particularly interested in helping the poor particularly. It's not going to change. She's not going to change anything. It's like people talk about how the economy isn't working for them. Personally, that prices going up, this and that. Kamala is not the reason for that. Joe Biden's not the reason for that. Even Trump, is not the reason for that. The biggest reason for that was probably the 0% inflation rate from 2008, 2009. This is a much more complex issue than you think. And that was led to the inflation. And after the inflation, there's also the giveaways. And I admit that the COVID giveaways were not handled in a way that made any sense. Lots of people got money that didn't deserve it. And that was under Biden's watch. But would it have been any different under Trump? Absolutely not. The president has very little to do with the success of these initiatives. The reason why you're poor is not because of the Democrats. Over time, if you look throughout history, the reason why you're poor is because of Republicans. Republicans don't want to raise the minimum wage. They're anti-union. When inflation happened, you have a lot of these corporations that just kept the prices high. Now, neither Democrats or Republicans are doing anything about that because they can't command corporations. But these corporations just took advantage of the fact that inflation happened. So they say, well, now that we've been charging a higher price, they'll just get used to paying a higher price. That's that. And it's not Joe Biden's fault. It's not Trump's fault. It's just, they're just opportunists, and they'll take any opportunity they can to take more money from you, generally. No one can stop them from doing that. Trump's not going to stop them. Kamala's not going to stop them. Biden didn't stop them, The difference between Trump and Kamala is Kamala does care about the middle class, and Trump doesn't really give a shit. Trump cares about the upper middle class and the rich people. He only cares about the upper middle class so much as he'll help small business owners, because Well, it's generally good for small business owners. It will also be good for rich people. So they'll get a more hefty tax cut than the average middle class probably. But Trump wants to help people like him. Trump doesn't give a shit about average Joe factory workers and stuff like that. He wants to make himself rich. He wants to make other people like him rich. That's his whole reason for wanting to be president at all. Just to give himself, and also because he likes the attention. Now, I'll admit, when it comes down to their personas, it would seem like I could understand how you'd think that Trump would be more down to earth because he has a sense of humor, and Kamala has very little sense of humor. She has some. I'm not trying to say she has none, but Trump is out and out a funnier guy than Kamala. I know some people would kill me for saying this. There's no question about it that Trump is funnier, but that doesn't make him a good leader. You shouldn't be voting on a guy for whether or not you can relate to him. You should be voting on a guy based on, for the most part, how he's going to help you. That's how most people should be voting. And if you're middle class or below, Trump is not helping you. Like that's all you need to know. He doesn't have your best interest in mind. And you should be worried about the climate, even though you're not. It will become a problem. If you care about your children, you should care about the climate, because your children are going to be facing the effects. We're already seeing the effects. What do you think happened in Asheville, North Carolina? That type of thing didn't happen before. Stuff like that. You might say, oh, well, it was one storm, freak storm. It could happen at any time. Yeah, you could say that, but those types of events are happening again and again. Today was almost 80 degrees in late October in New England. Does that seem normal? It's like you could say, oh, well, okay, maybe an anomalous thing. But this happens again and again. You're going to see it more and more. And sometimes it's going to be destruction, For the people in Asheville, North Carolina, it was destruction. And someday it's going to come to you. It's going to come to your family. What are you going to do then? But it's such a long-term problem. You don't have any vision. You don't have any vision of the long term. You have to think about this. This is you want to have kids. You want your kids to grow up in a world that's safe. Or not even safe, but it's not a total disaster. It's already a disaster. That's what you don't realize. Do you want your kids to have another energy source? Because oil isn't going to last forever. That's what Democrats bring. They bring an awareness of that problem. Trump has no awareness of that problem. He thinks we can drill forever. Look up peak oil if you don't know the peak oil theory. It's still a thing. Yes, it's not as they were saying doom and gloom about it, but it's guaranteed to be a problem at some point. There will become a time when we will run out of oil, and if we're not well prepared in a renewable energy future, then you're not going to survive. It's going to be chaos. You don't even know. You have no idea how much of modern society runs. The whole thing we live on was built on fossil fuels. And there will come a time when, if we're not prepared to switch away from them because they're harder to find and more expensive to produce, it's going to lead to a complete collapse of society and maybe extinction for humanity. And you've got that. It's the peak oil, combined peak oil with climate change. Those are two threats that are just waiting to bubble over. And climate change is already past the point of no return. You may not be aware of this, or you might believe the BS propaganda. Let me tell you a little bit about the propaganda against climate change. Who's telling you not to worry about the climate change? Businessmen. You might think, oh, the scientists are getting paid. They want to make climate change into a bigger issue because they need grant money or whatever the hell. That's the silly argument people make. Why do scientists go into science? Because they want to study the world. They want to know more about the truth. They don't go into science because they want to make money. Science isn't the place you go to make money. You go to the oil industry if you want to make money. You go to insurance. You go to banking. Scientists are not out to make money. They're out to discover the truth and tell you what it is. And scientists are telling you that climate change is a problem. Follow the money. Who's telling you it's not a problem? The people that stand to gain from not doing anything about the problem. And only in the short term. Even those people are incredibly stupid. They have no ability, to see. It's the nature of capitalism. Capitalism is designed to see short term as being the only important thing. I know a lot of you guys are probably capitalists, so fine. You want to keep backing the system that way, that's fine. And Kamala's not a communist by any stretch of the imagination. She might have some policies that will lean more towards the left than obviously what Trump will do. But it's going to help you. If you're most voters, you're not rich. The rich people are voting for Trump, unless they're into the wokeness. I guess it's the one good thing about the wokeness is it got some rich people to vote Democrat. But it's such a small number of people. It's not going to be the winning group. It's going to be a lot of the everyday Joes are going to make this decision. And I'm trying to tell you right now, Trump is not working in your best interest. He's going to take stupid pictures of himself making French fries, and he's going to be relatable. He'll be a guy, he's really good at appearing to be a guy. He is funny. I'm not going to say he's not funny. I personally find Trump to be a funny guy. He's, not a good person. He's totally selfish. A lot of us are that way, so I guess I could see how that wouldn't turn you off. A lot of guys, a lot of people these days are full of themselves and selfish. But he doesn't have your best interest at heart. He's going to be helping other rich people. So unless you're a rich person, if you're voting for Trump, you believe that he cares about you, and because he takes pictures of himself, acting like an everyday Joe. This is all an act. This is not what he is. He is going to make things worse for you and better for rich people. And there is a zero-sum game in terms of the amount of money that's out there, They'll say that, you can make rich people richer, everyone else gets richer. That's not how it works, A rising tide doesn't float all boats. If you believe that, you're stupid. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't lose some of you there. I'm just trying to break through, Go with the people that fight for a higher minimum wage. Go with the people that stand behind unions, Go with the people that have a track record of to some extent, standing behind the working man. I'm not trying to say Democrats are perfect, that's for sure. Bernie Sanders was an example of somebody who would have really helped the working man. He would have brought to light the amount of, shenanigans that go on in favor of rich people. That would have been the good thing about having Bernie Sanders, is he would have been vocal about how you're getting screwed by the rich on a daily basis. People need to hear that. They don't realize how much they're being screwed every single day. Rich people are screwing you over. They don't give an F. They want to win the game, and to win the game, they have to extract as much from you as they can so that they can beat their wealthy friends at the same game. So that's what's going to happen. You let rich people control the levers of power, and they're going to direct more money towards themselves and less towards you. And that's what Trump is going to do. That's what he does with all of his kooky schemes, like the Trump Bible and the Trump steaks and the Trump airline and the Trump this and that. It's all just a series of scams. The Trump Bitcoin. The fact that you guys can't see that. That's all just a scam designed to take more of the average guy's money and give it to another rich guy. Trump is a rich guy. And he didn't even earn it. It was donated by his family. He's lost more money than he's made. He's inherited such a ridiculous fortune that he can't possibly ever be poor. He's not a great businessman. He's not really he's not the alpha you guys think he is. So I know, the hard thing about Kamala is she does come across as very superior, She always has that kind of fake outrage in her voice. Can you believe that Donald Trump gave COVID tests to Vladimir Putin? Yeah, we can believe it, It's it's not that what she's saying is wrong, it's that she's saying in a way that makes you want to, that it has that elitist, comes off as that elitist vibe. It's like, oh, we're so much better than these people. Can't believe that. How could you even dare? And it's like, she's not wrong. I think it's messed up that that Trump gave COVID tests to Putin when they were hard to come by in America. But it's the tone in which it's this sort of judgmental tone that so many women are taking these days that I think is turning men off. Oh, you couldn't possibly ever be up to my level. I'm so great and women are so wonderful and blah blah doo dee da. You know, women are on their high horse like never before. And, it's disappointing that it's become about identity politics and not about something that can bring people together. Identity politics doesn't bring people together. That's the bottom line. That's my problem with it. And you're just gonna have to hold your nose, just like a woman who puts up a big fuss and likes to play games and likes to push your buttons to see how you react. We're gonna have to react that way to Kamala. I don't. She's not a great politician. She doesn't understand that attitude is not winning her any votes. That sort of haughty, self-satisfied. Trump doesn't come across that way. He talks about himself a lot. But in a way, it's like, you could tell it's braggadociousness, and I think some people appreciate that about it. That we don't even know if he believes everything he says about himself. And in that way, he's relatable. A lot of us, it's kind of like the Tenacious D method of bragging. You brag as much as you can, and you hope people believe even a third of it. I think that's how a lot of guys operate. That's why, Trump appeals to us, because we talk shit a lot. We pump ourselves up, and we know it's not 100% true, but it's a fun little game. And I think that's why people like Trump, because they know to some extent, like Kamala said it herself, he's not a serious man. I don't think he is very serious. But I think people prefer somebody who's less serious, And that, I understand that, except for the fact that you're talking about the leader of the world here. And I don't care how haughty Kamala is. I don't care, how little she might think of, me personally, or guys like me that don't work very hard. I don't care that she's, doing things that are going to help families and not me. Tax cuts for families, not me. Money for first-time home buyers, not me. I can't afford a home. I'll never be a first-time home buyer. She doesn't give a crap about guys like me. I'm not sure about guys like you, but maybe. Obviously, if you're going to have a family or you're going to be a first-time home buyer, you should think about Kamala, because I'm not hearing the same thing from Trump. But the point is she doesn't give a crap about me, but I still know, even despite the fact that I'll have to listen to women talking about how great she is, and regardless of what her actual presidency looks like, they're going to say she's the greatest president ever because she was a woman, because she is black. She'll be crowned by the woke movement entirely, and I'm okay with that. You know what? I don't care. I'm going to let them have their little fucking, their little I am woman, hear me roar moment. And I'm not going to give a crap, and I'm going to listen to them, and it's going to be hard listening to them fucking go on and on about how great she is and how, how great it is that women are in positions of power. The reality of the matter is it doesn't really make a lot of difference, There's a guy that would govern just as well as she would, But it's not about woman versus man. That's what you have to understand, If you're voting on this because of a woman versus man issue, because you're bitter, because women have rejected you, because you think that women are shallow, because you feel like, Kamala's unrelatable because she's, she acts like she's better than you. Well, that's a stupid reason to vote for somebody. Don't vote for Trump out of spite, please. No, Kamala's not making a lot of, she's not reaching out to you. She's not going to kiss your ass. She's not going to tell you what you want to hear, like Trump is. But Trump is lying when he tells you those things. It's all a lie. He's just telling you what you want to hear, so you'll get his vote. Or sorry, so that you'll give him your vote. And he's going to take that vote and he's going to use it to fuck you. That's what he's going to do. He's going to screw you over, You might like that he's appealing to you. You might like that he's interested in what you're interested in. You might like that he tries to come across as a manly guy. You might like that he's not afraid of masculinity, that he's not afraid of, of being a bit, un-PC, which I even think is, even that's refreshing to me. But with all that posturing, he does not like you. He doesn't like me. He doesn't like people like us. You know, he is trying to take all of our money. Him and his rich folk friends don't want us to be rich anymore, or don't want us to have the opportunity to be rich. They want to take all the money for themselves and leave us with as little as possible. You hear that quote he said about how he hated paying overtime? We live on overtime. That's how we survive. At least that's how I used to survive. He doesn't want you to have overtime. He doesn't want you to have vacation benefits. He doesn't want you to have fair pay for your work. He does not give a crap about you. Kamala, she cares a little bit. I'm not going to say she really cares, but she cares a little bit. It's the best you're going to get between these two. A better candidate is out there. I'm sure many better candidates are out there, but we're not going to get them because money controls politics, and Kamala's not going to change that either. Money will continue to control politics. We're going to continue to have one of the most ridiculously overbloated defense budget in the world, and a lot of you guys will like that because you guys are all like, yeah, we got to be number one in America. Well, don't worry. Kamala's not going to change that. We're still going to spend way too much money on the military. You want to talk about cutting spending? That's one of the other things you guys like to say. Cut spending. Do you know that so much of our stuff is wrapped up in the military and Medicare, Medicaid? That's like most of the spending every year. And what did Biden do? He actually negotiated the drug costs down. That saves Medicare and Medicaid. It cuts these down a little bit. And you want to talk about other spending? What other spending that we did? The infrastructure bill? You guys want to ride around on roads that are totally potholy? I mean, if I had my way, we'd all be on trains, electric trains by now. But if you're going to have to drive, if the only realistic thing is to fix the roads, then at least they're getting fixed. They are the spending that they're doing is on moving us to a future that's sustainable. If you don't understand what that means, it means your world, as it is constructed now, without alternative energy technologies, has a limited shelf life. It's going to end at some point, and you have to be prepared for that. And your kids will suffer. I'm telling you right now, because of climate change. Your kids will suffer. If you want to have kids, they will suffer. If you don't want to have kids, even you might suffer. I give it about 20 years before chaos starts to reign supreme because of climate change. I don't know. I could be wrong. I've been wrong about these things in the past before. I thought that peak oil was going to end things about 10 years ago. But these are, these aren't this isn't a large time scale when you look at the big picture. We basically faced with, as usual, a choice of the lesser of two evils. And there's no question that Kamala is the lesser of two evils. It's not going to save the world. It's not going to make the world a much better place. There'll be, but what it will do is, if Trump, the biggest thing is if Trump gets elected, he's going to gut all environmental protections. There will be no more thought of climate change. He's going to reduce the fuel standards. We're going to get farther away from solving this problem, and it is a much bigger problem than you people realize. Take my word for it. If you're not worried about climate change, you should be. They want to talk about fear of crime. Crime is down. You guys, anybody who's talking about worrying about crime is as down as it's been in a long time. I don't feel unsafe anywhere anymore. I used to feel unsafe. That's not the scary thing anymore. You shouldn't be scared of crime. You should be scared of climate change. You shouldn't be scared of immigrants. You should be scared of climate change. That's the other big thing is the immigrants. And I'll say to you on that. That's the one thing where Kamala doesn't help the common man. That's assuming that she doesn't govern drastically different from Biden. There's one good thing that Trump did for the average working man. It was to cut down on immigration. Or at least... Actually, again, though, I think it was more posturing because from what I understand, Trump had a ton of illegals flowing over. And really, I think that has less to do with who the president is and more to do with the fact that, as the world gets to be a more and more dangerous place, you're going to see more people wanting to stream into America. And, I understand. I understand. Unlike most of my lefty liberal friends, I understand how it has a detrimental effect on working people. You let more people in from other countries that don't have skills, and suddenly they can pay less for the same jobs that guys like us have to work. And you know, there's just less resources to go around. If of course, these people aren't getting, you know, they're not really getting a lot of taxpayer money. That's a myth that the Republicans like to push, but they are taking opportunities from us. I get that part of it. But the way to solve this problem is not to work on the short term. The way to work on this problem is to work on the long term. And the only way we're going to do that is to help working men make this a stronger economy. I hope that Kamala does better on immigration. It's a selfish thing to be worried about these things because these are people that are in much more desperate situations than we are. But I understand, it's like you don't want to, you want everybody to come and keep taking. We already have so little in this country, guys like us, we have an uncertain future and we're afraid, we're financially strapped, and we don't want, any opportunity to survive in the way that we will be threatened by outsiders. So I understand the thought behind it. Now the real problem is that they don't crack down on it. Businesses don't crack down on it. They'll hire illegals and pay them less than they're worth, and that's what really should be cracked down on. But neither Trump nor Kamala is going to crack down on that. In the end, the wealthy get protected no matter who gets elected. But just realize that when it comes to the environment, Trump is a disaster. When it comes to getting off of oil, Trump is a disaster. When it comes to supporting better wages for the working man generally, aside from the immigration, Trump is still a disaster. Kamala is going to do more for you than Trump will. Trump will figure out any way possible to take your money. Kamala is going to at least raise the minimum wage, I hope, federal minimum wage. And she will support unions more. So that's it. That's my plea. Vote for Kamala, please. Women can be really annoying about this whole thing, and they will be. But we have to let them have their little hissy fit about it and then just be okay with it, because in the end, it's better for you, I know you feel like less of a man because you feel emasculated because a woman's leading you. Many great men have been led by women in the past, It doesn't make you any less of a man to have a woman as your leader. It's only for 4 years, Is she the best woman leader? There's lots better women leaders out there, I'm sure. But she's better than Trump. I'm telling you right now. And I don't consider myself to be a mangina for supporting a woman for president. I'm just looking out for me. And if you're smart, you'll look out for yourself. And the way you'll do that, if you don't have money, you'll vote for Kamala. It's the only sensible choice.